Welcome back, South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Al Morganti here with you live from Flyers practice. You can see behind us somewhat an ice rink. First practice of the year.
First practice that we've been at. They've been practicing, obviously.
But it really starts when we get here.
Yeah, when we're here, it doesn't count.
The big show is here.
But a little later this year, noon, I guess sleep in maybe, I don't know.
I really like that noon practice.
A little noon time, and after a win, good feel to everything going on here today.
A huge home opener win as the Flyers did lose their first 2 games on the road. We recapped that in the last episode, but coming off that big home victory over the Florida Panthers, 5-2, there was so many good things to talk about. But really, I thought what I took away from it most was Travis Konecny in the game broadcast telling us that really nothing changed, that they felt like it was just the flip of a result, but it was leading up to this. The play was definitely leading to a home victory.
Well, nothing changed except the win.
Yeah.
And that's huge. You can play well all you want, but that doesn't really count in the standings or whatever. There were some good signs, but it was it's been a tough week in Philly, 10 days or however many it's been. It was finally kind of a good feel that something went right. And I thought the building was really energetic. I mean, it started with the Bernie Perrant ovation, which I really liked, to celebrate it by having a standing ovation. But I mean, just the feeling, it would have been completely different had they not pulled the win out of this. Would have been another one of those stories of, they played the defending cup champs really well again, but there was no but to anything here. They played well, and they got the W, which was huge. Yeah,
especially for Captain Coop, Sean Couturier, to play the way he did, 4 points in that home opening win. And this is a guy that we still had a lot of questions about. Does he still have it? And just, it's been a while for me to be down there ringside and to hear the Coots chants. Like, I didn't hear that a ton last year, and I was like, wow, this is really cool that someone who's worked so hard to get back is having a night like this.
Yeah, he went through a lot. I mean, in addition to the stuff with torts at times, but in addition to that, more than that, the surgeries that he had to try to come back, and now to have some real success early. And that was a big game. I mean, really big game. And it was all parts of the game. Face-offs, taking hits, assists, just great shots. So, I mean, it was everything. It was one of his best games in the last few years here. It's also, in addition to what he needs and the fans need, it's what the young players need to see too, because he's their guy, he's their captain. And I often thought the Flyers, some of the problems they had was they get in tight situations and Couturier wouldn't be on the ice because he was coming off an injury or whatever. You can see the difference when he's there on the ice.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Trevor Zegras' comments about him in our post-game show, just so complimentary, how he's helped him in the face-off circle, just an example to look up to how a pro is supposed to play. You see that. You see Bobby Brink having a fantastic night. Dan Vladar played awesome in net. So there were a lot of pluses coming off that home opener, a big homestand here for the Flyers. But let's talk a little bit about, I guess it is drama at this point with Matvei Michkov. He definitely, when you look at that third period in the home opener, makes a pretty egregious mistake to cause a penalty for the Flyers, and then didn't play after 8 minutes. And the rest of that game only had one shift in the third period. It's very clear from Rick Tocchet, there are no baggages here. Like he understands Michkov as a star. He understands his potential, but he's not going to play him just because of that.
Yeah, I think he's one of the hardest players to coach in the league right now.
Yeah.
Not just because of the way he plays, but where he's at. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, he is the most important piece of the Flyers' future. I mean, I'm talking about acknowledging it every night. Obviously, in the overall, he's the biggest piece, but to acknowledge it every single night. I got to think it's a very difficult position for a coach to be in. You saw what Torts did with him at times to bench him, whatever. But you have to let him make some mistakes because you need his play. I actually went back and watched the game after the game. I thought he played pretty well through the first couple of periods. Made some great plays.
Tocchet just said that was his best game yet.
Yeah, he really did make some great plays. He's still not as fast, as quick as I think he can be. But he did make some good plays. Then he makes a mistake. He's on the wrong side of a puck on something. And because of where they are, he doesn't play. You can't reward a guy with ice time after a mistake like that. But I do think you have to live with some of that. And there are certain players who, unless it sounds dumb, but unless they have success, they won't have success. Like he has to get going. So to me, you can't really pull the plug on him very often because once he gets that, the big assist or the big goal or whatever. I almost was hoping that one of the games early in Florida went into overtime, because if he scores like on a shootout or something, he didn't play in the overtime, but in a shootout, just something to get him rolling.
Yeah.
Because a player like that, the more he gets it, goals become his oxygen. The offense becomes his oxygen. So you really need it. But there was no doubt. I mean, Tocchet saying about something about an ankle injury. He was behind the 8 ball, getting in shape. He doesn't look. He's not the fastest player anyway. But it's kind of a dangerous narrative to have that he's not in tip-top shape. Well, he was hurt. So could he even get in tip-top shape?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it's a really, really tough task for a coach to coach a guy like that, because and we heard it from Torts a lot, you're coaching the game, you're coaching the season, and you're coaching the future.
Yeah.
And you're coaching your locker room on guys, what do you do when you make a mistake? So
yeah, and how are you going to treat them the same?
Yeah, and there's still a language thing a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a learning process on this situation with Tocchet, but I saw good things when I reviewed it. I got to say, right after the game, I was like, oh man, this is not going to be. And we went
You
back
hung up on the mistake.
Yeah. I went back and looked and said, you know what? It's pretty good those first couple of periods there.
Yeah, Tocchet basically just kind of put out the fire, I guess is the best way to put it, in that press conference. He basically was like, why is everyone asking me about this? Like, why are we all so hung up on Matvei Michkov? And I'm like, Coach, I don't know if you get it. This is a really big star, but I think there are 2 steps to this process. One, he clearly has to get in better shape for the season. That's not going to happen overnight. And 2, Tocchet just said he doesn't agree with just scratching a player to scratch a player and teach them a lesson, which is different than how Tortorella coached. There's just a glaring difference with that. He's like, he's behind the 8 ball, which means he needs to play. Tocchet right now is just having a tough time balancing when are you playing who at certain situations.
Yeah, and he brought up again, it's a big deal when your team takes 5 penalties a game.
Yeah.
Because your ice time is limited, because certain penalty kill, power play against the power play, it kind of hurts there too, to try to balance things out. And you have to reward guys that are going.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not see what's going on there. You can't have Tates on the ice all the time, but Grebenkin was playing really well.
Yeah.
You have to reward that too. So it's a pretty tough balance on what's going on. But there's been a lot of good things that have happened. Look, I know it was Florida, Carolina, but I don't care who the Flyers are playing. Every night's going to be a battle for them. You look at their lineup, the depth on defense. It's going to be tough. It'll help York coming back, but it's going to be tough every night. And whoever's going, that's what Tocchet says. Like most coaches, somebody's got their wheels going and they'll let them go.
Right. I mean, he said in that press conference, why are you guys not asking about Grebenkin? He should be getting more ice time. We're like, we didn't think we'd be asking about Grebenkin, but it is true.
Yeah.
You're going to have to ride the hot hand with this team, because coach has been very honest that it's going to have to be perfectly balanced. There's not one line. Right now it is the Cates line, but it's not going to be one line all season that dominates, which some teams are constructed like that. This is not that team.
And Grebenkin to me is also another interesting, like if you're Tocchet coming in, you don't know anything about the guy, right?
Yeah. You have no baggage with it.
But he does turn the puck over. At least he did when watching through the preseason, whatever. For a coach, that's a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
But then you see what he does out, on the wall, the stuff that's going on. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to live with some of that, because he's better than I think the scouting reports were on what he's done. So he's got to really do that. And Cates is just, I got to talk to him a little bit about what he did, because when we covered it the last season, going into last season, he's benched to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was struggling, it was always at the end of shifts. It's like he didn't seem like he could finish strong on a shift. And now, at the end of a shift, he's as strong as he was at the beginning of a shift. So I don't know what he did.
There's got to be some training.
Find
investigative reporting.
Because man, that he has really turned it in from a half a shift guy with full bore to right to the end, right to the bench, right to coming to the bench. So whatever training, maybe nothing, maybe cornflakes, I don't know. But whatever it was, man, something really turned a switch there.
Yeah, no, it's glaring that his conditioning, everything is so much better this season. Another thing that Coach Tocchet kind of put out the fire on is the very small goalie controversy that was starting to brew in Philadelphia. Talk had just admitted that there has been a plan for months that they were going to switch goaltenders. He said one game. He's like, that was our plan, and that's what we're going with. So that showed me this is not by performance based, like, oh my gosh, Vladar is so much better, he's pushing Sam Ersson. It was more so this was always the plan all along.
Yeah, I wish I knew that before.
It would have been nice, yeah.
Because you're looking at, I'm thinking, oh, well, Ersson going to be their guy. This guy's got to take the job. But it's, if it's predetermined that that's what you're going to do, it might have changed if somebody was horrendous or whatever, but they haven't been. So, I mean, not now. It's like if you want a goalie controversy, it's like, what controversy is there? Both playing well.
Yeah.
And
it's a great problem
go from one to the other.
If both are, I don't want to say okay with that because we're not worried about feelings, but if both can be okay with this plan the whole season.
Yeah, if you have a star goalie, you can't do it.
No.
You're caught because you just can't have that. But at least think of where we've come from. We've
gone through so
three
much.
guys here and 3 nets on the ice, and what's this guy doing here? And
it's a drill we've never
why
seen
is this goalie here? Why isn't he in Hershey? And how come? Well, it's crazy. So it's like this is really nice.
You know what? This is refreshing.
It is.
To not have 3 hits.
Wow.
Half the ice.
Yeah.
It's like something out of Disney World.
It was.
What was our last topic? I forgot.
The goalies, our last topic was plus minus on what we've seen early this year. Yeah.
This is hosting.
Yeah. The plus minus. Well, we've gone through the pluses. Cates was certainly a plus. Coots is a plus.
Yeah.
Brink is a huge plus.
Bobby Brinking the centuries that way.
He's just, and it's become, well, you can say consistent. I'm counting last year too, not just 3 games here.
Yeah.
That he's really become that type of a player. And I give Tortorella some credit here for having him be a stronger player against the wall and to win some battles.
There was a lot of patience that was required with the Bobby Brink, John Tortorella experiment.
Well, look at what he's done. Not to dismiss somebody that's not here anymore, but Morgan Frost, we want you to do this, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It did with Brink and that whole line, Forster and Cates. I mean, but here's the weird part. Why were they put together? Because things weren't working. They literally put names in a hat.
Yeah.
It came up with these
and now
names.
you would never dare screw with that.
It turns in their best line. So there's been a lot of pluses. Minuses, I think you look at the depth on defense as a minus. Zamula struggled some. They brought up Andre, who, at least for a game, was a plus for me.
Agreed.
To move the puck up the ice and play like that. So they were on, at this point, despite the fact they only won one of their 3, there are a lot more pluses than minuses.
Yeah, and I think I was pretty hesitant to include this with the minus, but you looked at the top 6, and I thought the first 2 lines, that was somewhat of a minus, that you weren't getting the production you wanted from the Stars. But then you watch that home opener, and now you can't say that anymore, which was huge. You needed your guys like TK and Coots and Zegras to show up in big moments in front of your home crowd, and they did.
Yeah, and Zegras made a great play. Already, highlight reel stuff here coming in. So that was that's huge, but there's going to be they don't have a margin for much.
No.
They got to really be on it every night, and I think
especially your goaltending.
Yeah, it's a strange schedule, a lot of home games. So maybe you can gain a lot of confidence in these home games.
Yeah, we'll see 2 more home games this week for the Flyers. We'll recap those later on. Thanks so much for tuning in to South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP. We'll see you later.